Howdy. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. This is entertainment. At least this is my version of entertainment. Last week someone posted this meme type of thing on Facebook, and it had all these questions about movies. And I usually don't do things like this, but I thought this would be something interesting. I was curious how I would answer it. And it turns out it's not as easy as I thought it would be. Because, if you've seen a lot of movies, then it makes it harder. You would think that you would even be able to know like your favorite Disney movie and different things like that right off the top. No. So it actually took me a little bit of time, but it was fun to do. And I decided that I'm going to share that with you here. I'm going to try not to make it overly long, but it's probably going to end up being overly long. And then I'll repost all my answers down below so that you can see what I had. And it'd be interesting to see if you agree with anything that I've said here. So here we go. My most hated movie of all time. This is easy. My Dinner with Andre. Why is this my most hated movie? Because it's the only movie I ever fell asleep on. It was so boring. I fell asleep on this movie probably a couple of times. And that's rare because I have trouble sleeping. And I usually can't sleep sitting down. But this movie just bored me to death. So this is my worst movie of all time. I don't care how many awards it won. Worst movie of all time in my opinion. Movie I think is overrated. Mad Max. The first one with Mel Gibson. Which is really the only one I ever saw. I didn't even see the one with Tina Turner. Because I thought the first one was overrated. I thought it was weird. I did not think this was a fun movie at all. And there were tons of people who thought this was one of the greatest movies of all time. And I just didn't get it. So, in my opinion, that makes it overrated for me. Movie I think is underrated is Armageddon. I loved Armageddon. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I like the personalities in the movie. I mean, Bruce Willis. We all love Bruce Willis. Michael Duncan Clark, who I didn't even know who he was. I liked him. I loved Liv Tyler. I liked Ben Affleck. I pretty much liked almost everybody in this movie. And I remember at the time after the movie came out and I went and saw it and I was talking to a lot of my guy friends. And this was interesting because, guys are usually trying to be kind of macho, but there's a lot of us who said that we came close to or did cry at the end when Bruce Willis has to tell his daughter, yeah, I'm about to throw a spoiler out there, but if you haven't seen this movie in the almost 20 years it's been out, this is your fault. Anyway. When he tells his daughter he has to break his promise and he will not be coming back because then he has to basically set the fuse to blow up this asteroid, what is it, nuclear bomb, I think. And it's a sad, thing. You're like, whoa, Bruce Willis just killed himself, because Bruce Willis is always the hero. And the daughter crying and everyone else is crying. Yeah, this movie was definitely underrated. Movie I love. It's not your favorite movie. It's just a movie that you really love. And I got to tell you, it's the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 2. I watch this one all the time. I watch all the Harry Potter movies quite often, actually. But the last movie, I probably watch more than all the others, which is intriguing. Goblet of Fire used to be the favorite out of the bunch, but truthfully I realized that that very last movie, and maybe it's because at that point you knew the franchise was over, that it's the one I watch over and over all the time. Movie I secretly love. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Tangled. I actually love Tangled. I love the music in this movie. I love the story. I love the humor. I love the sad parts. I love the mean parts. The only one I really don't like is Mother. I don't like her. I hate her main song early on. And that's probably because I don't necessarily gravitate well towards villains. So, you know what? Her I don't like, but everything else about this movie, I absolutely love. So that's just me. Secret love. Favorite action movie. Okay, you know all that stuff I was saying about Bruce Willis earlier? My favorite action movie is Die Hard 2. I love Die Hard 2. I have seen that one a bunch of times because it's one of those movies, and I don't know if there were movies beforehand, but whenever there's a dramatic part or something really big is going to happen, the camera zooms in and then the person says a line, just some kind of sneak line, and then you get that little music that comes after it. And I love this movie for that reason. And yes, it's a bit implausible, but so what? We love action movies that are implausible. I guess this past weekend, Fast and Furious, whatever number it is, basically clobbered every other movie that was out there and pretty much took over the world for a week. And it's because there's these scenarios that are just so implausible that it's interesting seeing how people get out of it and how they act in it. So mine is Die Hard 2. So let's go on to the next one. Favorite drama. And I really hate myself for this because my favorite drama is Pride of the Yankees starring Gary Cooper. This goes way back. It's basically the story of Lou Gehrig, and Gary Cooper plays that role. And I hate the Yankees. I hate the Yankees with a passion. I'm a Red Sox fan. But I love baseball movies for whatever reason. And Pride of the Yankees, like I said, this movie's like, back in the 30s or 40s. But I just love this movie. Every time I've ever seen it, you get close to wanting to cry. When you get to near the end of the movie and he makes that last famous speech, and the real Babe Ruth is there who had to listen to the real speech, and you see all the other actors and they're close to crying. Like, oh man. And yes, to me it's a drama. It's real life kind of thing. And this is my favorite drama. As you can tell, I'm kind of limited when it comes to dramas. I had to go to a sports movie. Next. Favorite horror movie. I will tell you off the top, I don't like horror movies. I really don't. Yet, I do have a favorite, which is Poltergeist. Oh my God. And I mean the original, not that mess that came out a couple of years ago. I mean the original. There was nothing else like it. It was fascinating. And I saw it in a theater, which was rare for me because most of the other movies I saw on TV, although I did see one in college at a theater with, it was in the college union, so that doesn't count. But I saw this movie at the theater, not knowing really what I was, expecting. But I had seen the commercial on TV for it, decided to go. Absolutely loved this movie. Did not like the clown. I have not met a person yet who didn't say that clown was one of the scariest clowns they've ever seen. And it was the movie that basically solidified my hate of clowns. Favorite comedy. For people who know me, they have difficulty believing this is my favorite comedy. Blazing Saddles. I don't know if you can make this movie today, but this movie was made back in the mid-70s. Starred Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder. Two guys where if you don't know who these guys are, something's wrong with you. Even in today's world, this movie was way above, way before its time. It tackled race in a funny way. It tackled sexism. It tackled just so many things, but it was really funny. And what a lot of people don't know is one of the main writers of this movie, besides Mel Brooks, was Richard Pryor. And they actually wanted him to star in it, but, he had drug issues and he just couldn't do it. This is a great movie. If you've ever seen the any kind of clip where you see Alex Karras, who used to be a professional football player, punching a horse, this is the movie. And by the way, he did not really punch that horse. Just in case there's someone out there saying, oh, how terrible, he punched the horse. It didn't really happen. Favorite Disney movie. I love a lot of Disney movies, but this one is going to throw people off. Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney movie. Yes, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm Mr. Tough Guy and whatever, but I like to consider myself, kind of a guy's guy. Yet Sleeping Beauty. Why? Because I got this thing about dragons, and one of the coolest, scariest, meanest, nasty dragons ever is in Sleeping Beauty. Okay, it's not really a real dragon. The witch turns herself into a dragon and fights Prince Charming. Yeah. Anyway, it's one of the coolest, darkest dragons I've ever seen. Yes, it gets killed pretty quickly and pretty stupidly, if you ask me, but I've always loved seeing this woman turn into this dragon and get real mean and huge and whatever. And the rest of the story is not so bad. So Sleeping Beauty. Don't judge me. Next, my favorite sci-fi movie, Independence Day. This is my favorite sci-fi movie. I'm going to jump ahead, by the way, because one of the other questions comes in. The last question is actually favorite movie of all time, Independence Day. I love this movie. I can watch this movie anytime. This is one of those few movies where if I'm turning channels on TV, which is rare for me, by the way, 'cause I don't watch much TV, but back in the day when I did, if I was turning channels and I come across Independence Day, I stop whatever I'm doing and I watch it. I don't care what point it's at. And this movie, of course, has the scene that, really got close to me after we had the incident that happened September 11th, 2001, when after 3 days of not sleeping, not going to bed at all, and just turning channels, always looking for news, I knew I had to get out of it. And I put in this movie and I went to the scene where the president talks to the pilots as they're getting ready to go up against the aliens the first time, and he gives this speech. And I gotta tell you, that helped me to break my funk and to get myself back in line and say, okay, we gotta get back with living life here. And you know what? Maybe that was just my outlet, although I know there's a few other people who said that they did the same thing, so who knows? But that's my favorite sci-fi movie, and that's my favorite movie of all time, so I'll be skipping that one later on. My favorite animated movie. Now this sounds weird because I told you Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney movie, but my favorite animated movie is not a Disney movie, which is How to Train Your Dragon. Now this was close because it was almost Happy Feet, but I realized that there was something about How to Train Your Dragon that I really just loved. It had a dragon in it. It had a bunch of dragons in it, and I love these dragons. And it was just, this nice relationship between this teenage boy and this dragon who may have been about a teenage. Actually, if you see the second one, you find out that he is supposed to be a teenager. So, they have this connection that they get. And, learning that dragons aren't really what everyone thought they were, and the way that the climax goes, which I should have seen coming, but I didn't. I know it was based on some books, but I didn't know that until after I saw the movie. Come on, How to Train Your Dragon. I think it won an Oscar, didn't it? I think. So that's mine. Favorite superhero movie. This one was not as close as I thought it would be. But very few people are going to say it today, which is Superman 2. The original Superman 2 with Christopher Reeves. I actually paid to see that movie 4 times. I've never paid for anything other than Rocky Horror Picture Show more than twice. Rocky Horror Picture Show doesn't count. Musical, weird, midnight movie all the time. Most of the time only paid $2 to go see it. Doesn't count. I paid full for Superman 2 4 times. There was just something about this movie. It was magic back in the 70s and early 80s. And, Superman has always been my favorite. I know these days people are saying, well, Superman, he's too good, he's too powerful, he's too this. Well, that's what we loved back then. That movie was fantastic. It put Christopher Reeves on the map even more than the first movie. It was a great movie. That's all I'm saying. Favorite musical. I love musicals. And I've seen so many of them that it could have been really hard to pick. But my favorite musical is An American in Paris. Gene Kelly. I love Gene Kelly movies. And in this particular movie, it sounds weird to say this for a movie, but they have a long dance sequence, which they called the ballet of the movie. And Gene Kelly and Leslie Caron, oh my goodness. It's just fantastic. It's breathtaking. And the music is actually George Gershwin's music. His American in Paris, which is how come they ended up making this movie. And there's a lot of great songs in this movie. And Gene Kelly, he was just so likable. And you know what? He was a guy's guy when it came to dancing. That's all I'm saying. Favorite bad movie. A bad movie is in the eyes of the beholder who basically hates movies for the most part. This movie has not been rated well, but it's my favorite, which is Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I can't tell you why I like this movie. I just do. And I've watched it multiple times. I bought it. I don't know if it's because I like Jessica Alba so much. I'm not sure if I liked the character of Silver Surfer a lot, which I really did. I know that there's people who think that a lot of the story just failed. Maybe it's Kerry Washington playing a blind woman. I don't know. But this is just a guilty pleasure. It got bad ratings, but I liked it. Favorite childhood movie. This is interesting because I told you that Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney movie, but my favorite childhood movie was another Disney movie, which is Lady and the Tramp. I just couldn't get enough of that movie. Tramp, you had to love this guy. Maybe Lady was a little kind of stuck up, but you just love Tramp. And then, they have the meatball scene, and then you see Lady gets thrown in jail, or dog jail, so to speak, thrown in the pound. And there's the song that Peggy Lee sings as Lola. I love this movie. It's not, it was my favorite movie as a childhood. I don't watch it as much anymore, but I could. I don't own the DVD, but I think I may work on that. Best trilogy. This is tough. Trilogies are tough. There are movies where there's more than the three, so I had to discount those. They went the Harry Potter movies because that would be my favorite series of all time. That knocks out the Star Trek movies, all of them, because, there's too many of them. So this one came down to X-Men, and it's the first three X-Men. And like I said, it was tough to figure this one out. But I'm going with those because the first X-Men was really very good, and the second one was really very good. And even though I liked the third one, it wasn't as good as the first two, but those first two were pretty fantastic to lead to the last one. So, favorite trilogy. I could have almost gone with the Star Wars movies, except, 4 through 6. Do you call that a trilogy now that there's actually 7 movies? I decided if I wasn't going to do that for Star Trek, or I wasn't going to do it for Harry Potter, I couldn't do it for Star Wars. So favorite trilogy are the first X-Men movies. Favorite guilty pleasure. Okay, once again, a movie that would shock people who know me, Hangover 2. I just laugh. I laugh and laugh and laugh. The monkey, and I usually don't like monkeys, but whatever it is about this monkey, it is funny. The guy who ends up with the Mike Tyson tattoo on his face, funny. Everyone was funny in this. Yes, it's a stupid premise. I don't care. I love this movie. Ken Jeong was funny. Mike Tyson actually sings in this movie. Funny stuff. I laugh all the time. It's a guilty pleasure. Favorite director. This was kind of hard for me, but I came up with Ron Howard because I don't think there's a Ron Howard movie that I've ever seen that I didn't like. To me, there you go. But that's the best I could do. Favorite movie composer. John Williams. This is hands down. John Williams has written more movie music than almost anyone I could think of. I think he's won a ton of Oscars for it, and he did the first 2 Harry Potter movies. Done. John Williams. Favorite actor or actress this year? Don't have any. I'm not really key on favorite actors and actresses, so I got to throw that out. A movie I like that I've recently seen, well, obviously I put down Sing, which I did a review along with another movie, months ago, back in December, I believe. And I love Sing. As a matter of fact, I bought it and I've been watching it quite often. But the movie that I've seen so far this year that I like the best, Beauty and the Beast. Another movie that I reviewed that I saw, 3 or 4 weeks ago? Loved it. That Emma Watson, she just fits that role perfectly, although she's not really French. But still, she just fit that role perfectly. And the most anticipated movie of the year. Since I've already given you my favorite, you're not going to do that again, so this is my last one. Most anticipated film of the year, Wonder Woman. Which is strange because I was never really much of a Wonder Woman fan. But I loved her in the Superman Batman movie, even though she wasn't in it long. I've loved the previews of this movie that I've seen. I think this is going to be a fantastic movie. And it's the one I'm waiting for. I know a lot of other people are looking for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But truthfully, I like the first movie, but I don't remember a single thing from the first movie except the ending when Groot is dancing to a Jackson 5 song. So it's got to be Wonder Woman. There it is. Anyway, there's my list. I'd love to see your list. If you guys do any videos and decide to do this one, let me know. I'd love to see it. Anyway, y'all take care. I'll see you next week.